PK, you must be happy to come out of a game like that with a win.
Yeah, I am. I mean, it was during the week we prepared like it would be a dress rehearsal for finals, and it really was. In terms of the intensity and credit to Clarence, they came out. A really good a mix of execution and intensity in that first quarter. They were really good around the ball. They were good at getting to the contest. They really worked hard. And then when they had the footy, they used it well and followed a plan. And probably the last 10 minutes of that quarter was really disappointing from us. Just you talk about finals football, like you let the other team off the hook for 6-7 minutes and you give up 3 goals. And we at one stage I think we're 4 or 5 goals down early in the second term. So it was good. I mean, if you want preparation for finals, those are the sort of situations you want to be in. And I thought our players did a really good job of understanding the moment and how we needed to play in that moment to get ourselves back into the game and just the work rate required. They upped it, and then they upped it again in the second half, and I thought we really, in the end, won that battle of the work rate after they got on top of us early, so very pleasing from that regard. Do
you put that comeback after being down 4 or 5 goals early just to work rate, or are there any other areas, or is there a message that you gave to the boys at quarter time?
Yeah, I mean, it was, as I said before, like that understanding the moment of the game and how we needed to play, and that's good preparation for finals. You can't, we're pretty good when we're up and rolling, but that can't always be the case. And when you get 4 or 5 goals down, you can't try and get into a shootout with the other team. You've got to make life tough for them and get the momentum back, and then just take some opportunities when they come, and we did a good job of that. And even though we went into half time down, I thought the second quarter we were right on top and got the game back the way we wanted to play it, and then the second half was very pleasing.
You spoke about the finals-like intensity. It did seem, from an observational point of view, that the pressure and the pace was definitely up from sort of earlier in the season, for sure.
Yeah, definitely the pressure. I think last week we played at the Twin Ovals, which is a really good deck, so that ball zipped. So with the ground being a little bit heavy here today, it did change the way the game had to be played. It was on, and the decisions had to be really quick, and that was pleasing for me. Like, my game plan is a lot about trusting the players to make the right decision in the right moment, and today after quarter time you could really see that they excelled in that area. They did a good job, and it allowed us to control a large chunk of the game after that.
Mitch Rainbird was a late out with Clinton French replacing him. Not a bad little handy addition. And what's the story with Mitch?
Yeah, so Mitch hurt a finger last week. The tackle got caught in a jumper, so we'll probably know more this week. He had an initial assessment, but it was really swollen, and so they just said let's treat it to get the swelling down, and then we'll assess the damage. Mitch has had a great year for us, so we're obviously pretty hopeful that he can be back next week. Obviously, having Braden Webb, who's sort of come back into the team to be able to slot into the midfield, that's pretty handy. And I just thought in the last quarter today he really showed his leadership and his experience. He was outstanding in that last quarter, and James Webb, his second half was outstanding. And for a guy who's only 20 years of age, his ability to work and really understand the game is fantastic. Clinton French, it's good to have him back. We've had a few sort of our past premiership players like him and Matty Dilger and Tim Butterworth who we've been hoping to get back later in the year. Probably Clinton's the only one we will get back. Touch wood, we might the others, but he's probably the only one. But he showed his experience today, didn't he? And with Matty Joseph out, it opened up a role that he could play, and he's done everything right since he's got back in terms of doing all the extras and learning the game plan and asking a lot of questions, and so it's been good, and it was great to see him out there today. And it was an interesting mix today. We had 9 premiership players. We also had 11 guys who'd played less than 20 senior games coming into this season, so it's a real balance, and I think 11 guys 20 and under. That's exciting as a coach, because full credit to the guys like Jay Bowden and Braden Webb and Josh Arnold and Daniel Joseph and Reece Mott. They're doing a really good job of bringing these younger players on. And then guys like Ben Camrick and Cam Duffy and James Webb who are really stepping up. But then exciting to see Bailey Bester and Will Atkin and Chris McKnight and some of these guys also step up and play some good footy. So today was a really good test and the guys passed it well. Next week we have a bigger test, Launceston up at Windsor Park. So we roll into that and see how we go, and I think that's pretty good preparation for finals.
It looks like you've sort of all but sewn up that second spot, not to count your chickens.
I'm not counting.
But having said that, Lonnie have a really good percentage as well. So what will be, I guess, the message to the boys going into this final week of the home and away season?
Oh, we've got to get better at the little things that will win us finals. And today was the first time we really passed a test like that. And as I said, with the mix of youth and experience, like we can't take anything for granted. We've got to keep educating around the things that help you win tough games of footy and finals games. And then we've got to roll into Lonnie and execute. And there'll be some other things we'll try next week that we've been building on. And we just got to be able to execute it so that when we're in the heat of a final, we can do it then. So looking forward to next week. It's going to be good.
Right. Jez, a tough afternoon.
Yeah, it looked really disappointing. I thought probably for 3 quarters we played some pretty good footy. We were really rapid with our first half. We controlled the ball in the first quarter and made them probably defend for long periods of time, and we were able to get the scoreboard on our terms, our clearance stuff. Was really good. I think we were plus 12 at half time, so we were pretty content with the game at half time. But look, to Glenorchy's credit, they're well coached. They closed down uncontested marks and forced us to bail down the line. And when their ability to use the ball once they turn it over is really, really good. And in the last quarter, I thought going into the last, it was a 50-50 game, but they just smashed us around the ball. I think it was minus 11 at clearance in the last quarter. So really disappointing effort from that. But I thought for 3 quarters, we were right in the game. It was a pretty good game. So look, we have to move on. We've got a big game next week against the Tigers, who played some good footy today. Looking at the app, so we need to make sure we butter up and learn and really buy in together. Like I thought that brought into something today, and we probably took some steps forward as well from last week. We were pretty disappointed last week.
Down to 4th, most likely, I think, after this with the Lonnie win. So I guess you got that battle potentially for the 3rd spot next week.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of different messaging or anything you'll take out of this ready for that final home and away game?
No, not really. Look, the Tigers obviously bring a lot of numbers around the ball and play a pressure game, so we need to make sure we account for that. But look, we'll have a look at this tape first and review it. So we did well, so we did poorly, and then we'll move on from there. But the results of the last couple of weeks haven't gone our way. But we've been in control of those results. We've played in the games that we needed to win, and we haven't quite got it done. So we don't really have anyone else to blame but ourselves. So it's about buying in now as a group, continue to work on the things that we make a good team, and continue to work on our deficiencies and see where it leaves us after next weekend.
You had a few out today, as do Glenorchy, as do most teams towards the end of the year. Are you likely to get any of those boys back?
We're hoping that Speedy Standard will be back next week. Jackson O'Brien, we're not too sure how bad his hammy is. He felt it on Tuesday night. Taylor Williamson dislocated his shoulder today, and Gabby Chambers has either got a dislocated toe or has broken his foot or something. So we'll have to get those 2 guys in. Look, injuries have caused us the last few weeks, but it's no excuse. We replace a soldier with a soldier. So, if those guys are available next week, fantastic. If they're not, we still need to get the job done.
It's apart from when North Lonnie, they're that 4 or 5 games ahead, it does seem to be week in, week out a pretty close top 5. Are you still confident heading into that finals?
Yeah, I still am confident. Like, next week, Glenorchy beat Launceston, we're in the top 3, so we've got the double chance. If they don't, we finish 4th, and we'll probably more than likely have an elimination final v Lauderdale. It's about just getting momentum, and I reckon at the start of the year we had that. We played 7, 8, 9 really good weeks in a row. We saw Lauderdale do that through the middle of the year. Glenorchy started to do it at the back end. North Launceston have just been the most consistent team for the whole year. So I think we took a step forward today, although the last quarter was extremely disappointing. There's no reason why we can't go out and perform well next week and get some momentum behind us and have a really good final series.